Hello everyone, good to have you back in the studio today, and I thought I'd do another watercolor with you. And I would like to do a wet on wet technique, which I really like doing. But in this illustration that I'm doing, in this composition, I'm going to do, as you can see, an ink wash here in the beginning, and now I'll apply my color over the top of this wash. Now you get some really good effects with this wash. It distorts the shapes quite a bit when you're trying to paint, but you get this infusion or this design that leaks out into the paper with the wet paper, and it creates some really neat images. And as you can see here, as I'm applying it now, when you're applying ink on this paper, the less saturated in water is the same with your ink, meaning I'm trying to say that if you use less water, you get darker images with the ink. Here you can see that my paper is saturated pretty good, and then as this dries, it'll dry to a point where it's really faint, and it depends on what you're trying to do. It's just laying out the undersketch, the sketch of my composition. And here I'm trying to blow some of the water back off of it so I can get a darker line. Excuse me. Laying out the timber. Said I was going to do a farm scene, an old farmhouse, but I found out that I hadn't edited this painting here, and I've had it done for a little while, so I thought I'd go ahead and post this or edit it and get it out there. And then my next painting, I'll probably do the old house. That's the plan anyway. Now you can see here, it's getting a little lighter, but in a moment I'll show you that when it dries, it really fades out. And like I said, this kind of gives you a little distortion in trees and what have you, but you can bring out the detail later as you're painting. You can get the images that you want. Bring down a little bit so I can get a little more action out of the ink. And you'll see here in a little bit, I'll take the board and tilt it and get some different texture by doing that. I thought I'd do a late fall, coming into the winter months when the foliage is off the trees pretty much. At the end of the painting, I'll put a little foliage on the trees, but not much. But most of the trees are bare in this picture. Still trying to get the trees the way I want them, as I'm trying to establish them here. This is a 16 by 20 watercolor paper. One of the things that kind of bothers me with watercolor, here it is, it's dried now, and so I'll start applying my pure color over this, and do my washes in the watercolor also, and the image will shine through, not real heavily, but it'll be there. And then, as I say, it looks kind of fuzzy and hazy right now, but once I start applying my color, my pure color into those trees, it'll bring them out, and you'll see. But I was getting ready to say, though, whenever I'm painting in watercolor, I found that I kind of like to take my paper and glue it to a panel and let it dry, and then start doing my washes. And it seems like the paper doesn't pucker as much as it normally does. And I'm using a cold press watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, 100% pure cotton, and it paints really well. I like to paint on it. I like a little more texture on the paper. It makes the painting more interesting. You know, you look at some of the blends with your color as you're laying them out. But this is good paper, and so I have some cheaper paper that I use just to kind of move around with and try to get some ideas before I apply it to my good paper. But just painting exercise, that's the main thing. You just want to paint, and you don't have to spend much time. Just learn your techniques and what your brushes will do, and it will take you a long ways when you're doing your painting. And again, when you're painting just to be painting, and that's more or less what I'm doing here in this one also. I don't have a road map, so-called a road map laid out for my painting, but I do have a little bit of an idea in the composition as I go. But most of it is just coming out as I paint, and I find it easier to have a subject at hand to kind of get to, you know, your values, your shadowing and your light values. And you don't have to paint it just like the photograph, but it kind of gives you an idea, the realistic look with your different sunlight and shades that come about that you can't see in your mind. But here I'm just applying color, and we'll see what happens. At the time I was painting this, I'm doing a voiceover, but at the time I was painting this, I had no idea. But now I do, since I've finished the painting, and I kind of like it when I got done with it. So, went out today or yesterday and did some checking on some frames, and my goodness, the price of the frames that's the hard part, trying to find a decent frame for your pictures. And if you're not able to build your own frames, it will cost you. But I found that you can find some pretty good frames at garage sales. I mean, really nice frames. So I'd encourage you that if you need a frame, just attend to your garage sales. You'll probably find what you need in those sales, and they don't charge much. It don't cost you much to buy them either. So, and they're beautiful frames. And again, the color looks dark and bold here, but as just like the ink, as it dries, the color will what I call dissipate and set back, and it'll fade to a lighter color, and this become a good adds atmosphere to your painting as you look back in the distance here. This is a tree line I'm trying to establish, and the trees kind of blend in with the sky, but that's all right. Once I get the foreground painted in, it'll all stand out, and it kind of leave the viewer to use their own imagination when they see a painting, what they see in that painting. But trying to add a little dark value in these white clouds. One of the best tools you got is a Kleenex, and you're going to see here in a minute. You can lift that color a little bit with a Kleenex and get the value that you're trying to create there in those clouds. It's kind of dark and running together there, but you'll see here in a moment how I lift it. And the more water that you apply to the color, you can lift that much more. So. And the white paper just stands out too bold, so I've got to kind of knock that down a little bit. There's times that you don't want to knock it down, you want to use that pure white, but in these clouds you want to kind of let it blend all together. Here I'm trying to get the color to move in the clouds and get the design that you can't get with a brush. It's really hard, and I like to watch the color flow. this is just a typical scene. Like I said, a late fall, the sun shining on the grass and on the trees, tree lines. And I just thought I would put it together and kind of use it as an illustration today. Here I'm trying to knock it back a little bit. You can kind of get disappointed in a painting as you're laying the basics out in the beginning, and sometimes you just kind of want to give up. But as I've said in the past, if you just keep pushing forward, your painting will start to take shape, and what you thought might be a mess and not be what you want, it turns out that you've had some good mistakes in your painting. And of course, you look at something like that and you just think, yeah, that's what I wanted to happen, but I didn't do it myself. It was just the blending of the colors. You've always got to kind of, again, I use the term roadmap. The lighter color you want to use to start with, and then you bring your pure color in on top of that and start adding your depth in your painting. Now, a light value here I'm laying, and as I go, I'll bring some different oranges and what have you in the painting, and the closer it gets to you, the darker it gets. And again, that's what really projects your painting up close, give it or even distance in the background. So here I'm just trying to apply a little texture and what have you, but trying to catch sunlight that shoots across the ground there, and bring in some light tones on that later. But here I'm going to a little darker value, and again, the wetter that it is, the better. Some of the better features about it that the results you're going to get. Here I'm trying to squeeze some water out of my brush, and so that I can make it blend and run. In a moment I'll be lifting the board up and trying to get it to run in different directions. It gives you different shapes and outcomes. And you know, you have some, like here, I have some drop, but that'll all go away when I get to doing the trees in the background there. All that, it'll all blend in. So from having a little experience, you paint like in watercolor. It's really hard to mess up. I mean, you can daub and doodle and whatever you want, but you know, if you got some kind of an idea what you want to do and watch what you're doing, you'll get some good results. Now here it's bleeding down in my yellow, but that's what I want. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to try to get some shapes, and it'll come together, hopefully. There's the a paper towel. So you can pull it back. And you have some hard lines there, and sometimes you don't want the hard lines, but I do there. I want some separation between the textures there. This is the fun part. You just kind of let it happen. And sometimes you won't be successful, and that's the way it is. But all in all, that's how you learn, you grow in your paintings, and what you might think would be a really messed up deal winds up being exactly what you want. Just different shapes. It gives you different results. And of course, after you have your base color in, then you go back in and you add your detail. And that's what makes it come out, stand out whenever you get the right textures in your ground and your grasses and what have you. But we're getting ready to go for some little darker color here now, which will make a lot of the lighter colors here pop out and get the results that hopefully you're looking for. And again, the closer it gets to you, the darker you want. That gives you depth in your painting. This is a mixture of burnt sienna and my yellow, and it's a good color to blend in with the rest of it. Again, it will be lighter, but as I progress along in the painting, in the foreground here, in the corners, I'll add a really dark value, as we are seeing here. And as time progresses along, it'll get darker, just to kind of distort the other. My light is kind of shining on that corner, and you're kind of losing the real color, the real values of those colors there. But you get an idea whenever I get done with it. Trying to bring out some of that lighter yellow in there. I'm going to add some white to it, I believe, in here to bring the value out. I like to take the water and give it a little fine mist every now and then. That kind of loosens up the paint so that I can get it to do what I want it to do. And I think I'm getting ready to do that here in a little bit. Now here I'm trying to add some lighter values in this area here in the middle. So it's kind of fun to just to dab the paint wherever you want it, and sometimes splash it on or however you want to do it, and let the paint create its own value, its own shape, and you got to coax it along, as you see here, just kind of trying to add a little more features to it, and now you start to see the blend here, the way it's blending together and kind of standing out. And again, another thing that a lot of us do is you overdo your paintings, and you just got to kind of know when to quit. And sometimes that's hard to do. Well, this is no way near ready to quit. I'm just saying, though, that as you progress along in your composition, sometimes you can kind of get carried away and go too far with it. But now we're going to lay in some trees. And this will push the background further back as I lay these trees in. I said earlier that whenever you're applying the ink to the wet paper, it kind of infuses out with the water, and but as you notice here, as you're painting your trees now in detail, those images in the background kind of add a little blur to the outside edge, which kind of adds a realistic view. You don't want to have a hard line. You just want it to have a kind of a soft appearance on the outside edges of the tree. So that's one of the values that I like to do with the ink. It kind of adds some not only distortion to your image, but I think it kind of helps to look more real. There we go. Now I edited a lot of it out because it's you get kind of boring after you watch so many branches and trees go in, but you can see the results there in the finished product. As I continue on here with the trees, kind of gives you some kind of an idea how it's going to look whenever I get done. And I'm really surprised that when you do a painting, when you get done and you find that perfect frame, it really makes your picture stand out. Is there something about a frame that I hate to show a painting that I've done without a frame, because that frame adds so much value to your composition when you're said and done. And not just any frame will work. That frame, I believe, has to kind of match the colors in your painting, and it all works together. It's just part of the plan. And that's part of being creative, to be able to spot that special frame. I was in Texas not too many years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and we went out to the neighborhoods, and they had garage sales by just tons of them. And there was all kinds of frames that was just absolutely beautiful. And I had no way to haul them back. We had our camper, and we was on a trip, vacation, and had no room for them. So, but I plan to go back down, and I'm planning to fill up my camper on the way back with picture frames, because they're beautiful. What I was seeing, and they weren't asking just a few dollars for them. Just really nice frames. I like to do trees and branches. I really do. It's fun. It just kind of keeps your attention going. And like I said before, whenever you're painting, you don't want to stay in one area too long. And with watercolor, as you well know, you move quickly through your painting, and so keeping your paints watered down, and so it kind of you hit and miss. You just kind of go in one area and go into another area, and then you come back to that area, and that keeps you fresh and keeps your eye not just locked in one area. And here I'm going to add a little more texture. I love it when it runs down like that. Most people would probably say, "Oh my gosh, that's what you want when you're doing watercolor. You want that." At least the way I do. I want that. And here I'm going to add some dark values in there, and we're going to do the same thing. And you'll be surprised how light that gets as it dries. Maybe you won't, but again, I like to just squeeze it out of the brush and get those areas that I'm looking for. Kind of breaks up that yellow and orange, and again, I like color. I really do, and I've said that in the past. So. Did a video sometime back. I titled it Nature's Dance, and I kind of thought of a time whenever, as I said, I was growing up with my dad and my brother, and they're gone, but the memories are not. And Canadian geese setting into a field or a marsh, and first, I love to do waterfowl. I really do. And as you see there, there's a dark spot up there. You say, "Oh my gosh, you've run it." No, you don't. Just keep going. But anyway, I did that with the sunrise, and it turned out pretty nice, I thought. Again, I need to find a place on the wall. Here I'm doing a splatter effect, rip it out, my brush. And when this dries, they will not be that dark. It'll just be a faint, as it dries, it becomes lighter and lighter. And it doesn't stand out. Now see how it runs there? That's exactly what I want. That's what I'm trying to establish. It gives your picture a quality that you didn't have. Now, if you don't like something, you can kind of touch it back a little bit, but that's what I want right there. And then the finished product, it'll add a lot to it. And as you see there, see how it lightened up? It really does. It just, I really love to do watercoloring. I really do. It's just, I've done the oils, I've done acrylics, and I like doing them also. But something about watercolor I have such interest in it. I don't know why. It intrigues me so much that I just live it and breathe it. And I hope to get a whole lot better at it as time goes on. But at 77, I better get busy. Someone said that when we get to the other side and you get to the kingdom of God, we're not just going to sit around and play a harp. We're going to do things. We're going to be busy. And I hope I can paint. I hope people that plays an instrument can play an instrument. But these people, I don't know if they know what they're talking about or not. But one of these days I'll find out. But it's kind of intriguing to think about it. But you spend your whole life, I don't care what you're doing, achieving and with wisdom and knowledge about things and your things that you've experienced and your talents that you have. It's kind of sad to think that, well, that's it. We come to the end of life, as we know in this old world, and what was it all about? So I kind of believe that things are going to follow us. I really do. Like I said, we won't know until we get there. So, meanwhile, let's just enjoy what we've got. Branches just adds everything to your painting. It's just, I love to work them in. You got to be careful with your trees. You don't want your trees to end right there at the same place. You want your trees to drop in or stagger from one another. And you'll see here in a little bit, whenever I go to add the darker values in my trees, I'll bring them down on different planes that will make it look more natural when we're done with it. I thought, as I was looking at it, an old farmhouse way back there behind these trees would really look neat. So that will be the next painting. I'm going to do a real old 2-story farmhouse and depict it back through the trees. I think that'll look really neat. And it's fun to create, I think. I really do. I kind of get in a hard spot, but if I just kind of watch YouTube and watch the different painters, it kind of gives you the incentive to go on and paint with yourself. Next thing you know, you pick your brushes back up and you're painting. So if you have a true love to paint, you got to really, it's like playing an instrument or anything else. You got to want to do it or you just won't do it. And like I said, I've been breathing this stuff since I can't already remember when I started back in 3rd, 4th grade sometimes. And I had a little red hair that needs some color. This video that I've done, I've edited a lot of it out. I mean, I had over 2 hours. When you watch the videos, you think, well, that didn't take very long. But, I had over 2 hours in the original painting. And I started editing, and I don't want it to drag on too long. I mean, I've got the whole painting in my library. I mean, it's stored in my computer, so if I ever want to go back to it. But when you're illustrating, or people soon get tired of watching the same old. And like I was saying, if you get tired of it, you can just always bump forward and see the parts you want. So that's kind of the value of haven't been able to do that on YouTube. But I look at my hands as I'm painting there, and I sit and think that I see my grandpa's hands. It's hard to believe that I've traded places with him. So, and when you're young, you just think that's for other people, but you'll find out in time, those that don't know, that time, your life passes really, really quickly. And such a short time that we're here. Here we go. Now let's get something going. Let's get some of that color going. See, I'm going to spray a little mist in there. Got to bring life to that paint. Trying to get a little sky spots back there in my tree line. When the sky shines through the leaves, or the different masses back there. I'm using a fan brush here. I'm not real fond of the fan brush in watercolor. Now, I do use it once in a while, but, you know, I don't really care for it. There's sometimes it adds a little detail that you can't get with the other brushes, but like all the other brushes, it serves a purpose from time to time. Put a little more spray on my colors, or on my paintings, I mean. Sorry about moving it out of frame, but I was trying to get some flow with that paint that I didn't have. I decided I needed to darken that side up a little bit more too, like I did the one on the right. Excuse me. Normally I would make that a little brighter red back in there, but in this painting, I kind of wanted just to leave it like I'm doing there. So, you know, kind of not as bright. I wanted the foreground here to stand out more than the background, but I did want to add a little more color there. I just love the way the color does, the paint, with the layers and layers that you do, and you keep spraying it, and it just keeps popping out, and the different values and what have you. I'm going to darken this here a little bit because it needs to be all darkened in. I don't have my tree line darkened up there in the foreground, so it'll be darkened also. There you go. Kind of see it come to life growth there. I looked at this painting and I backed off and thought, I wished I'd put some light value in those dark trees. I could have done that. Kind of like the sun casted down on the bark, but I just didn't do it. Maybe next time. I say this about every time I edit a video, but I just hope you guys can get some enjoyment out of my paintings, and I hope it helps you grow. Every time I paint, it seems like I learn something different. And again, if you don't paint, I keep saying this, but if you don't paint, you don't grow. And now you see here, I'm putting some sky. They call it sky spots in my tree line back there. It kind of brings out the realistic looks in a tree that it's not just solid paint. You got to break it up. And that's what I'm doing there. Adding more small trees, more limbs, and the more you get, the more realistic it looks. And but you can see there in the foreground how I sprayed it and had the water on the paint, how it runs together, and it just makes your painting stand out. And here I'm trying to bring the trees down from that tree line to give it more realistic growth. And some bushes here I'm going to apply, and I skip through a lot of this. I mean, you'll see it. It'll come about here in a minute. There we go. Put some bushes in there. Kind of add value to it. Here I thought I'd drop in some distant leaves. As I said, it's a late fall, so I'd say probably late November if I had to pick a time. And the oaks here in Missouri, they're the last to lose their leaves, and most of the other trees will have shed their leaves, but the oaks they're the last, and the trees can all be pretty bare, but there'll be a few oak leaves still hanging on to their leaves, even into the early part of winter, and then they're blowed out. They come down, but I've been a hunter all my life and enjoyed it. Archery. See a lot of game, but I don't get, which I don't mind. I love just to watch them. I love to paint them, and in the realistic world, you have to take your game out a little bit to what's their numbers, the population, and I got to looking at my painting there. I forgot where I was talking, but I would go out and sit in a tree, and in the fall, I'd be in my tree stand, and I'd be looking through the orange and yellow leaves as the sun goes down, and oh my goodness, it's just absolutely beautiful. And I don't care how long I paint, I don't think I'll ever be able to capture something as beautiful as that is. But see, that's what I'm saying. It's more than going out and taking an animal when you're hunting. You're going out and you hear the sounds, you hear the turkeys, the coyotes. My goodness, you can be in your tree stand, and the coyotes will be right not very far from you. Somebody says, well, doesn't that bother you? And I said, no, they ain't going to bother you. They'll run from you quicker than you run from them. But it's such a unique thing, especially if you're an outdoor person. And I think that can reflect some of my paintings here. As you're watching, I'm a country boy, and I love the outdoors. And early morning when the birds start singing, and you're in your stand, and the lights start to pop, and you can see the leaves starting to get brighter as the sun comes up, and if you love nature, you'll crave something like that, and I do, and I guess that's why I paint, just to capture those moments that I've seen. And like I said, I'll never be as good as nature, as God paints the timber in the fall. It's just staggering how the brightness comes out just right there before the sun goes down. Just beautiful. I have to get my camera out and take pictures, and yet when you get the pictures done, it's not near as pretty as it really is in real life. That's kind of like my paintings here. I don't have a good camera to take pictures of my finished product, and sometimes I'm disappointed when I see it, my rendering when it's all done, because my paintings look better than the photographs do, if you don't mind me saying that. It really does, and I guess I'm not a photographer, but when I get in, you can see it. But like I said, if you see it in real life, the colors are a lot brighter than what they appear to be in the painting itself. But when I started to do this voiceover on this video, I thought, man, this for an hour, but we're coming to the end right here pretty quick, and so I just wanted to come on a little bit with you all and kind of do a voiceover and share some things about my life, and I wished I could hear from you guys things that went on in your life and is going on, and nothing stays the same. Praying for a few people right now in my family and at my church where I pastor at, and it there's part of life is sometimes not explained, and we just have to trust the good Lord, and He knows your way and your path, and it's kind of nice you don't have to worry about it. So yeah, it's a time of prayer right now with what's going on in my family and my church. I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoy bringing it to you. Like I said, my channel's not growing very quick, and that's okay. I'm still having fun, and like I said before, if you like what I'm doing, I appreciate. I'd like to hear a comment. I don't even hear any comments. So, if you feel led, if you've seen some of my paintings and enjoy it, I'd like to hear what you'd have to say. And although I can't see you, it'd be kind of like communicating with someone about my pictures, and I'd just like to hear from you. And again, if you got the want and want to subscribe to my channel, I'd enjoy that you did that or would do that, and might even share it with someone, help me along the way. But like I said, I don't care. I do care about the subscribers, but if I don't have many, I'll still paint anyway. Until I can't no more, so. Just down some grasses there in the middle, in the foreground there, just trying to bring some texture and some detail. You don't have to do a lot of detail. Your eyes will tell the story. Just look at it, you'll see what you want to see. Well, again, I've really enjoyed this, and my next one will be a farmhouse, and I'll probably have a cornfield that will be involved in not a cultivated field. I don't do corn stalks, but and then I'll have the old farmhouse in the background. So I'm kind of looking forward to doing that. So anyway, y'all have a wonderful life, and again, may the Lord bless you and keep you safe. And I just say goodbye for now. See you in the next one. Bye.